President Biden with some MAGA bashing going on yesterday. You know, he always has time for that. And it happened while he was trying to sell his inflation and job growth that he says has happened on his watch. He was in Colorado.
We're investing in America. We're investing in Americans, and it's working. The historic investments we're celebrating today is in Congressman Boebert's district. She's one of the leaders of this extreme MAGA movement. She, along with every single Republican colleague, voted against the law that made these investments in jobs possible. Folks, this is not your father's Republican Party. Like I said, I made a promise to be the president for every American, and I'm keeping my promise.
I always find a bit of irony when he says mega instead of MAGA. Anyway, a new report by Republicans on the Joint Economic Committee found the typical American household would have an additional $11,400 per year. They'd need that to keep the same standard of living they had in January of 2021. You know, when he took office. Kentucky Congressman Brett Guthrie says this is the real Bidenomics in action. You deserve better. Arizona Congressman Eli Crane says this: the D.C. swamp is ruining this country for future generations. And former Trump economic advisor Larry Kudlow with this.
The Bidens had to push for a $2 trillion spending plan to scratch every left-wing Democratic itch. And all that did was jack up the inflation rate ultimately to 9%. And by the first half of 2022, a year later, the economy was in recession with 2 negative GDP quarters. That's Bidenomics.
I love how he stacks his papers. He's right. A Wall Street Journal op-ed lays it out even more. The trouble with Bidenomics, arguing the federal spending surge, has not made Americans happier. Power panel Matt Gorman, former senior advisor to Tim Scott, and Marie Harf, Fox News contributor and former State Department spokesperson under President Obama. Great to have you both. So, Matt, it's all about how people feel and what they're experiencing. Although even the White House press secretary, Karine Jean-Pierre, has said it's not about feelings.
Yeah, we've gone from Bill Clinton's "I feel your pain" to Joe Biden's "your pain isn't real." To your point, people feel it. You can't tell them the economy is doing better when they feel it. They pay the prices. They see it every day. People don't buy it. I was talking to a Democrat who worked for Obama and Clinton, and he says presidents fall into this trap where they think, if only people knew how great I was, how great I'm doing, I'd win 50 states. Look, Trump is consistently winning in the last couple polls because Biden's a weak candidate, but also people feel like the country is going in the wrong direction. So if you're a Democrat, don't tell them about your accomplishments, make them feel it, but they can't do that. That's why they're in where they're in.
You know, Marie, part of the calculation of how people are feeling are the polls that show that the American dream is not attainable, or it seems like it could not be accessible to so many Americans, more than the majority.
Yeah, I mean, Harris, I think it is clear that there's a lot of discontent in the country right now, and Democrats would be smart to listen to it. I've certainly said that many times when you and I have talked about this. But if you're looking at people's pocketbooks, they are paying less for gas now. They are paying less for groceries. Inflation is coming down. The economic trends are going in the right direction. Wages are up. And just look at Colorado. Since Joe Biden took office, companies have announced over $7 billion with a B of investments in manufacturing and clean energy just in the state of Colorado. So that's why I think Democrats want Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and Barack Obama to get out on the campaign trail and say, there's a lot of good economic news here. We are investing in your communities because of our policies. Look, and Donald Trump would take you back the other way.
Look, I don't think that there's any doubt that you're spending money and you're making investments. But when you say that food is cheaper, that's not true. Two things have happened. The prices that were just as high last year now are ticking up even further, but by a slower rate. So inflation doesn't take the prices back to where it was. It takes the prices further, just at a slower pace of time. So if you need more than $11,000 in your pocket at the end of this year to have the way that you lived 2 years ago, food is not cheaper. Plus, they're packaging less stuff in smaller bags. Marie, I know you know that because I know you shop. You can't miss it. There's a lot of air in those potato chips, and the bags are smaller. All right, we'll move forward. Secretary of State Antony Blinken in the Middle East today on his third trip, and he's trying to further a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas, a long-standing one. Back here at home, President Biden is facing some pressure over his support for Israel. He posted this week, Hamas unleashed a terrorist attack because they fear nothing more than Israelis and Palestinians living side by side in peace. To continue down the path of terror, violence, killing, and the war is to give Hamas what they seek. We can't do that. Republican lawmakers fired back. Senator Tom Cotton said, pressuring Israel to let Hamas remain in power, which is what Biden is doing, is moral bankruptcy. Senator Eric Sheet said, because of pressure from Democrats, I hope this isn't the beginning of Joe Biden's pivot away from Israel. A Washington Examiner op-ed with this headline, Biden is intentionally undermining moral support for Israel. Marie, your reaction to all of it.
Look, I think Israel has no stronger friend in this country than Joe Biden, and he is willing to take heat from the far left of my party, of his party, to keep standing by Israel. I would say the second best friend is Tony Blinken, who is there today. But look, the long-term solution here, we are standing by Israel as they destroy Hamas. Hamas cannot remain in power of Gaza. They cannot remain in control, and we are going to help them militarily take them out of power. Israelis will also tell you, the Israeli government will tell you, the only long-term solution here is a place for Palestinians to live. A two-state solution has been the bedrock of Israel and American policy when it comes to the Palestinian issue for decades. That hasn't changed. So when we get to the end of this, that's what we should be focused on. But go after Hamas, of course, right now.
Yes, and Hezbollah, if they jump in the game, too. What we're looking at on the left side of the screen, and of course we hope that doesn't happen, is the Israel defense minister along with our Secretary of State, Antony Blinken. So you have Mr. Yoav Gallant and Antony Blinken talking today. And of course, the goal, Matt, you've been hearing, is a longer ceasefire. That gives the enemy, and I haven't had a military person tell me anything opposite of this, and I don't think that Marie would disagree either. It gives the enemy a chance to really rebuild, regroup, rearm, do all of that. But if we can get enough of the hostages out of the way and many of the civilians out of the way, then we can do what Marie just said. Go get those terrorists, knock them down, knock them out.
True, and there's some reports that says Hamas isn't honoring the ceasefire anyway. But you also have the far left's position is increasingly becoming the de facto Democratic Party. When there's an NBC poll the other day, younger Democrats are far more anti-Israel than most of the older Democrats. And this has been the change over the last 10 years, crystallized in large part by this war. Especially folks like Democrats who have been elected, say, from 2018 on, the Squad and others, far more likely to see some sort of moral equivalency between the two sides.
Why do you think that is?
Look, I think that people, they don't see the value of Israel. Look at the TikTok that went viral the other day, liberals reading Osama bin Laden's letter to America as some kind of warning. That really says it all.
I'll bring you both back. Thank you very much. Appreciate your time.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.